We have 6:30. We'll call this meeting to order and start with the pledge.
Flag of the United States of America, which is love, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Happy New Year to everyone. We'll start with comments from the audience. Is there anyone out in the audience today who cares to make a public comment? All right, so I'll turn things over to the superintendent to discuss the mid-year strategic plan updates by school.
Thank you. So good evening, everybody. Welcome. We're really excited tonight to share some of the work that's going on in our buildings. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later in the meeting, in my update about the kickoff event we had last night to start the process of planning for developing our new strategic plan for the next 5 years. But our current plan is in action, and we want to give you a little sample of some of the things that are going on in both buildings. Some of the things we said we're going to do at the beginning of the year is a little mid-year check and an update on how things are going and what's happening, and hopefully help everybody connect the dots and see the coherence that's happening through our district, guided by the strategic plan. So we have building principals and Ms. Kelleher and Ms. Goldsteiner. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. As Superintendent Crusoe just mentioned, we did a lot of nice work last night kicking off the district strategic plan. And what we're going to talk about tonight is also in front of you the packet of our 2 school plans and slides that you'll see up on the board. So it's easy for you to take notes, follow along, any of that. The team that's up here this evening is my name is Daryl Giard, the principal here at Bolton Center School. We have Beth Goldsteiner, the Director of Student Support Services and HR, Amela Kelleher, Assistant Principal at BCS, and Mr. Vaselli, the VHS Principal. Tonight, you're going to hear a mid-year update from the school plans. At the very beginning of the year, we shared an update. We had all the academic leaders come to the meeting of the plan. The plans are ongoing. A lot of the goals that you're going to see are action steps that are ongoing, and it's not an exhaustive list. So we're going to give examples of some of the work that's being done under each of the goals, and then we'll have time at the end of the presentation for any questions that you have as well. So the first goal at BCS is student success. So Bolton Center School will challenge and prepare every student for success in school and in life. The first bullet under that is continuing to strengthen the work of the BCS leadership team. We also call them the instructional leadership team, ILT, interventionists and departments. The ILT, the academic leaders, we have 2 to 3 leadership meetings a month where we come together on Wednesday afternoon. We have a very fixed and set agenda, very focused on the work that we're doing. The academic leaders are also in charge of their departments. So every 4th Tuesday, they lead their content area teams on a meeting on those 4th Tuesday afternoons with a very set agenda. And they meet with the administrators to kind of set that agenda for their departments. To also guide that work, each of the academic leaders has a department plan where they write a plan that's in alignment with the school plan, and the school plan's in alignment with the district plan. So there's a lot of coherence with the work that we're doing. The academic leaders, they get appointed each year, and it's a tremendous team. As you saw at the very beginning of the year, they're very dedicated to the work that we're doing. Another important piece of the student success is our interventionists and our instructional coach. Even the instructional coach, along with the interventionists, see students in the classroom. So they work with students one-on-one. They work with students in small groups. And the instructional coach is instrumental in providing professional development and coaching to the staff. And that's through PLC time, 4th Tuesdays, early release time. Instructional coach at BCS does a tremendous job. Bullet 2, sustaining and strengthening communication and collaboration among staff. So I'm going to quickly highlight some of the recent communication and collaboration amongst staff. And I mentioned it a few Board of Ed meetings ago, which were peer visits. So a couple times a year, the staff at BCS will identify another teacher to go visit. They'll go into their classroom. We have a set protocol that the following week that will discuss what they saw, any ahas, any things that they might want to try to implement in their classroom. Those have been very well received, and we have our next set coming up in a few weeks. There's a lot of collaboration during PD, PLCs, and department time, as I mentioned earlier. We analyze data, we talk about individual students, and we compare and discuss instructional practices to move the work forward. At the beginning and end of the year, we have articulation meetings. So we talk about individual students, we talk about curriculum, we talk about instruction amongst the grade levels. So for example, we may have fourth and fifth grade teachers sit together so the fifth grade teachers can hear about the upcoming fourth graders, maybe where certain hiccups in the curriculum occurred, things that might have been tougher, or things that they want to make a note to revisit next year. We also work very hard in general at creating a culture, and this came up even last night, a culture of collaboration. So whether it's through set meetings or just every day with an open door policy, we're dropping into each other's rooms or into the office so that we're constantly collaborating and talking.
So the next bullet is ongoing analysis of data to inform instruction and improve student outcomes. So throughout the school year, we collect and analyze data a lot. We begin at the beginning of the year. We do a deep data dive at the center school with all staff. It's a general staff meeting with all teachers, and we look at all the Smarter Balance data. And then we meet with individual teachers. Daryl and Amela met with all the general ed teachers, and then the three of us met with all the special ed teachers to look at their individual student data, to really talk about what it means and to see what we can kind of gather from it. We continue our data dive all throughout the year. We talk about data at PLCs, at professional development days, department meetings, and this ongoing review informs our instructional decisions and helps us decide if we need to change any interventions or instruction. So that's for the data. The next one is continuing implementation and refinement of high quality interventions for MTSS. MTSS is multi-tiered systems of support. You've heard about that before, but just a reminder, we provide tiered levels of support for students in academics and behavior and social emotional areas. So it's not just academics. We look at the whole child and provide supports for all kids that need it. We run 6 to 8 week cycles. We have a check-in meeting mid-cycle and again at the end of the cycle. And progress monitoring takes place throughout the intervention cycles. So we're collecting data to see if kids are making progress, or again, if we need to tweak or change an intervention. And students can move within the tiers. There are 3 tiers. Kids can move from one tier to another based on progress or lack of progress. We have really put a focus on behavior and social emotional MTSS this year. The student support service staff, the 2 school psychologists, the BCBA, and the social worker have really taken the lead on this. And they're kind of helping teacher get some really good tier 1 interventions in place. And they're addressing other things that come up in the classroom. Some of the behaviors that they're looking at through MTSS might be a child who gets out of their seat all the time, a child who is eloping from the classroom or from their teacher, task or work refusal or avoidance, maybe some aggression to either others or to students or themselves or to objects. So MTSS is something that we're really refining and tweaking as we go.
And we just thought it was very important on the next slide to kind of bring some of this work to life. So you can see there on the left side, a couple of elementary students doing a math center with some manipulatives, working on a problem. And on the right-hand side, you can see some middle school students during an ELA class having a Socratic seminar discussion about a book that they recently read. So sometimes you hear something, but then to be able to see it in action, it just brings it to life.
Our next goal is focused on our caring culture. Bolton Center School will foster a responsive, caring, and inclusive culture and collaborative relationships. So to start, we really prioritize communication and relationship building with families. One way we do that is through our Parent Square app. So Mr. Giard and myself, we post a lot on Parent Square to give all of you updates about the school, but our teachers really enjoy Parent Square because it's a way that they can give classroom updates really efficiently and also talk to parents one-on-one through messaging, whether it is to remind a student to bring a water bottle the next day or whatever it is they need to talk to a parent about. It's just a super clean, efficient way for them to do that. Another thing we do is prioritize relationship building. And one way we do that is by hosting all of our family events. Some of those events include our band and chorus concerts throughout the year. We also have Winter Family Night coming up. That's Thursday, March 5th. So if any of you are available to come stop by, please do. This is your invitation. We also do conferences twice a year, and those are really, really important nights and days for our staff because it's a way to connect with families in person and give progress updates for their students. And coming up, we have our student-led conferences for the middle schoolers. That's in March, and that is a really amazing night and day for them because our students actually get to share their own progress with support from their teachers and Mr. G and other staff members too. Mr. Jared and myself facilitate town hall meetings 3 times a year that continue to incorporate student voice. So when we started town hall meetings, we didn't incorporate as much student voice as we wanted to. We kind of just talked to teachers and we said, hey, what should we talk about 3 times a year with your kiddos? And they say, oh, you know, they're doing really amazing at this, but can you remind them to walk in the hallway? So we would meet with each grade level, we'd give them their reminders, we'd celebrate what they're doing well. And then we realized, you know what do the kids think we should talk about? What do they think their grade level is doing really well? So we started having lunch with a couple kids at each grade level this year. And it's truly amazing what you will hear from a first grader and then from an 8th grader on what they think their grade is doing really well. And then what they think, you know, they need some reminders on. For example, a first grader told us, can you remind our kiddos, our classmates to behave in the bathrooms? We're like, yeah, that's an awesome idea. So we got a lot of student voice. And so we actually have our second round of town hall meetings coming up in a couple weeks. We have lunches with the students next week. So we'll meet with each grade level and we'll talk to them about what's going really well and then what, you know, we can work on. We also promote relationship building among students across grade levels. We do that through building buddies. So our K through 5, they, like a kindergarten class, will meet with a 5th grade class and they'll get together and they'll do a team building activity, which is so awesome for them. And we're also working on promoting our relationship building amongst schools. So actually just yesterday, Mr. Jones, he's the family and consumer science teacher at Bolton High. He came down with his high school kiddos and they worked with our preschool kiddos. And it was such an amazing experience for everybody. And so we're also working on promoting BHS events at BCS because we really want to continue to build that bridge between Bolton Center School and Bolton High School and show our Bolton Center students how amazing BHS is.
We continue to refine and sustain our social emotional learning practices. We are always looking at how to support students' social emotional learning needs because it's just as important, if not more important than academic needs. We currently use the second step curriculum at Bolton Center School. Grades kindergarten through 5, teachers teach their own students, and then middle school, the school psychologist and the social worker teach those lessons to the students on a rotating basis. At middle school especially, the lessons in second step are sometimes a little dry, as the kids might say. So the staff do a lot of supplementing with their own resources. They may use if something has happened in the grade level, if there's been an incident, maybe of kids not being kind to each other, they'll use that as the theme of a lesson and they'll get resources and kind of do a lesson around being kind and understanding and accepting. So we really have a big focus on the second step curriculum and all the skills that it teaches. In addition to the curriculum, we offer peer mediation. A lot of times it's the school counselors who are doing that. If kids are having issues with each other, we get an adult there to kind of support them and kind of work out their problems, so to mediate the issue. And we also do social skills groups and lunch bunches to kind of support social skill needs at all grade levels. So that's for the social emotional learning. The next bullet is monitoring attendance trends. And we have done a lot, and I think COVID probably started all of this. To look at the attendance because we were missing kids during COVID. So we're always trying to find kids and checking on them. So we've really refined our practices a lot, and district-wide, we've done a lot. We have weekly meetings at Bolton Center School. We have a team of Daryl and Amela, and I'm on the team. We have a school counselor, the school nurse, and an admin assistant, and we get together every week. We get a report prepared by the admin assistant of attendance for students, and we come to that meeting and look to see if kids have increased their days that they've missed school, if there are trends, if kids have been sick or on vacation or just kind of MIA, and we look at that and then decide what the next steps are. And the next steps could be that one of us will make a phone call home to say, hey, we haven't seen Daryl in school for a couple days, what's going on? So sometimes we have parent phone calls. We may have a parent come in to see what's going on and what we can do to support getting the student back to school. We also have letters that go home for tardy letters and attendance missed school letters at the 5-day mark and the 9-day mark. We have letters that get generated automatically, so parents are constantly aware that there's absences, and they go home, they're automatically generated. So even if the medical excuse, because we get calls sometimes, he's been out sick, and we're like, would they just get generated automatically so people can keep track of them? So we have that in place. And I think the last thing that we do for attendance is we do home visits too. So if we need to meet the parents and the families where the child is, see what's going on and how to support getting the child back to school. We will go out and do a home visit.
And then here you're going to see some of pictures of our care and culture truly in action. So on the left, these are photos of our Looking in Theater assembly. We do this once a year for middle schoolers, and it's a performance ensemble made up of teenagers in the greater Hartford area. And they come and they do skits based on socially relevant issues to our students. And it's really amazing to see how our middle schoolers truly take these skits so seriously. They get to ask questions at the end, and it helps support our care and culture because it shows our students how to be inclusive, how to treat each other, how to treat other students with differences. And it's a truly amazing assembly. We actually have it next week, which we're excited about. And then on the right, you're going to see photos of our annual fall food drive, which are amazing student council leads. We do it every fall. Senora J, our Spanish teacher, leads the student council, and she does an amazing job really getting them excited to get donated food and goods for the Bolton Senior Center. So we do that every year. And this just shows you how we really, really have a thriving and caring culture at BCS.
All right, the third goal is talent development. Bolton Center School will encourage a learning environment that emphasizes excellence and recruits, develops, supports, and retains high-quality staff. So we are always seeking ways to attract and retain staff because it's not easy to do. Like school districts everywhere are losing staff. So we really try to keep our staff. We participate in any local job and career fairs that we are able to. We go to UConn. We've gone to some in Hartford. It's amazing when we go to the job fair in Hartford I went to last year. People were like, where's Bolton? It's so far away. So it's good to get out there and get our names out there. So we try to do the job fairs. We form relationships with local universities, Eastern and University of Hartford, UConn, trying to get student teachers to come into the district, and then maybe they'll want to come back and work here when they get their degrees. So we're always trying to form relationships. We support professional growth for our staff. If they want to learn about something or get some professional learning opportunities, we try to support them as much as we can, as long as it's in line with our strategic plan and our district plans and our school plans. We provide and support a positive work environment. We try to let staff know that we appreciate them. We do breakfasts at the center school. They do a lot of food related things to support staff, breakfast, dessert things. We did for Thanksgiving, we went out and delivered coffee and things to the staff just to kind of let people know that we appreciate them. We also try to do our hiring early in the school year. So we want the best pool of candidates so we can get. So as soon as we're able to, we try to hire because, last minute hires sometimes don't work out. So we try to get hiring done early. So that's what we do to retain our staff. Strengthening the support systems to help new staff. We have TEAM, which is put in place for teachers to have a trained mentor to work with new teachers to support them in the first couple of years, to answer questions and help them. We also have at the center school, we meet with all new teachers. I was invited last year to start attending with Daryl and Amela. And last year we did it as a group. We all met with all the new teachers at a meeting and kind of open forum for the teachers. Do you have any questions, any concerns? And then I think we had a prompt at one meeting, but we kind of revisited it. And I think actually Daryl and Amela thought maybe one-to-one meetings would be better because we did this big meeting with everybody and people were a little timid to speak up. So this year we're doing one-to-one meetings with the three of us and the new staff member. And it's really great. They get to ask questions. We find out what kind of supports they need, if they need anything. And it's just a kind of a chance to touch base with them. So that's some of the things we're doing. Related services staff, when they come on board, speech pathologists, psychologists, social workers, they don't have trained mentors to work with them. They're not part of team. So we hook them up. We're lucky that we have psychologists in our system that can train our new psychologists. And our social worker is kind of being trained by the psychologist as well. So we try to hook them up with a veteran related services staff person, questions, procedures, things like that, so that they have somebody to bounce questions off of and feel a little supported.
And some of the stuff that you're hearing is brought up a few different times, and in the next couple of bullets, you hear it again. So the third bullet is providing job-embedded professional development, and PD is provided by the instructional coaches, administration, sometimes teacher leaders, and sometimes teachers themselves. So sometimes a teacher reads a book or goes out to a PD, and they come back and they share it in a PLC or another one of our meetings. We have PLCs, PD days, so the early release ones and the full day ones, department meetings. So there's a variety in Fourth Tuesday meetings. So there's many different times during the month that the focus work occurs. And I want to give the board a big thank you because you continue to keep the early release PD days in the calendar and they're very well used. And we had a leadership meeting yesterday and we look at every single day, every minute by grade range, K to 5, 6 to 8, special student support services and who's doing what to ensure that it's effective work and that it's hitting their needs. Leveraging PLC time. So that's our most frequent touch point. So that's every week. We meet with every grade level one-on-one. Mrs. Kelleher and myself, the instructional coach, the math interventionist. Sometimes we're getting updates on what Director Bolton said about MTSS progress, with how individual students are doing. This week, we're talking about number sense. So our math coach and our instructional coach are talking to the different grade levels about students' ability to have a sense of like a reasonable answer when it comes to math, and how to like round up. And we've had some fun activities where even the teachers, because our coaches and interventionists are so knowledgeable that they were like, wow, I could bring this into my room tomorrow or try this next week. So it's very useful information that can be put into action immediately. Purposeful Fourth Tuesday meeting. So we often also survey staff. So we don't just plan in isolation, the leadership team or the administration will survey the staff to say, hey, we have these upcoming buckets of time. What is your biggest need right now? And sometimes it's with some of our newer programs, hey, I need some time to look ahead. I need to look at the upcoming units and lessons and really just dive into the material because there's just not enough time in the day, especially for elementary teachers. Shout out to them, hardest job there is. To be able to teach so many subjects, so that look ahead time is very helpful to them. On the next slide, you'll see two more pictures bringing the work to action, talent development. And as Director Goldsteiner mentioned, we do love our food at BCS, and you can see a few staff in the lounge enjoying some food. And it's not always bought. Sometimes we do things like crock pot day. So staff bring all different types of crock pots. We make sure that we're being very safe because it's a lot of plugs. And so we have buffalo chicken dip and a bunch of stuff, and staff drop in during the day. And it's just really a nice gathering place. And you can see people just sitting and eating and talking. That's what that picture is. And then you see a picture of the entire staff a few years ago on the last day of school that decided to just go over to the side of the building and say, hey, let's get a picture together after we wave the buses to kick off the summer. So it's just a nice feel good, things like that really create a positive culture and climate. Goal 4 is resource stewardship. This again directly aligns with the district strategic plan. So Bolton Center School will champion the needs of the school system and be responsible stewards of the public's investment. The first bullet there really lends itself to the work of the academic leaders. So they meet with their departments during Fourth Tuesday time, and right from when we go back to school in September to start building the budget at the department level and with a kind of a needs-based, zero-based budgeting approach. So they meet with the teachers. They say, hey, what do you need right now? What consumables have you exhausted? What do you need replenishment of? And all of those things. That's like the first step in the budget process. Bullet 2 is when they start meeting with the building principal, Director Gilio Casper, Director Goldsteiner, myself, to really look at the budgets. Hey, what are you bringing forward to the building level? We have the office budget, all of those pieces. So the bigger picture starts to come together. And then we meet with Superintendent Caruso, Casal, and everybody else. So it's a very multi-step process where obviously budget season is coming up soon. But it really starts right when we come out of the summer and the school year begins. But it's not just the money that's in the budget. We have a lot of partnerships in the community. So two of the biggest ones I'm going to highlight, and you'll see a picture of them in the next slide, is the PTA. Absolutely amazing PTA. They organize events. They're constantly championing for the students and sending us ideas for enrichment programs and resources. And we have this money that it's a good problem to have. Sometimes we're like, we have money to spend. What do you need? The PTA really is absolutely amazing. All Town Fresh. That's just one of the ones I'm going to call out. They are a tremendous partner in the community. They do coffee for educators every September, where a portion of coffee sales gets put into like a pot, and then they're actually going to cut us a check at the end of this month, where Superintendent Caruso and myself, Mrs. Kelleher, are going to go down to All Town Fresh. They do a quick photo op, and then they present us with a check that goes towards different enrichment activities and programs in the school. So All Town Fresh is a great partner of ours as well. And if you look at the next slide, so resource stewardship and action, you can see the PTA sponsored walkathon, and you can also see in the middle picture to the right some people in inflatables. I might know who that isn't, but it's a tremendous opportunity. The kids pick those rewards and incentives to really work towards and raise money for. And then the other picture is last year when we went to All Town Fresh, and they presented us with a check, and they are again a great partner in the community. I'm going to welcome up Mr. Metzel.
So we had our own goals this year, aligned to the strategic plan. Some overlap with what you saw at the Bolton Center School, starting with student success. Ongoing use of the digital platforms. We've talked a lot about this. We launched Parent Square a couple of years ago. I agree with everything Mr. G said about how amazing that is to link to families. Our latest and greatest is we have kicked off school links. There's a current software that we're phasing out called Naviance that is important for the college process. Also, it does inventory starting in 8th grade. Well, School Links is going to replace that and more. It does a better job for that. It meets certain needs for the college process. For example, if Grace wants a letter of recommendation from Mr. Smith who retired, there was no way for Mr. Smith to access Naviance. There was an extra layer. School Links addresses that. If Alexa is trying to keep track of her community service as a graduation requirement and trying to get that great group that she volunteered with who keeps forgetting to send the form, they're going to be able to do it digitally through School Links. So that is our newest digital platform to enhance life at Bolton High. You heard a lot about MTSS. Same thing at the high school. It looks a little bit different. Our focus certainly is on things like mathematics, but also on executive functioning, right? Where are the deficits? If we have a student who's really struggling with work completion, well, let's find a time to meet with that student several times a week and offer them, don't just say do your work, but offer them organizational strategies and tools to try to meet those needs. We've also increased this year our tracking of success within MTSS. We have feedback forms from our providers back to the organizers, forms from the teachers back to the providers. So we're very happy that we're able to do a better job of providing needs, targeting needs for students because of those new processes that were put in place. And we talk about student success. Certainly, we've talked about the Distinction Award, but that is a group of students that did which one is that? That's the NCCC music group right there. Okay, if someone could click for me. Also under student success, the whole weekly, you've heard about this connections period that we have twice a week. We have done some restructuring for that. So we looked again at the needs. So with our seniors, high stakes things, right? Getting that portfolio taken care of, dealing with that capstone and whatever their life will be after high school, their post-secondary plan. So we reorganized our connections period to provide direct support to seniors for those 3 categories. We're already not only feeling good about that, but already making changes looking ahead towards next year based on feedback from the students and the faculty. And we also, from a school-wide MTSS standpoint, implemented 2 things this year. We started the first quarter. We asked all teachers to spend some time, really put a lot of emphasis on greeting students by name. daily, especially at the beginning of the year. We were at the, and I know Mr. Gross is going to talk about it later a little bit more, but the kickoff to strategic planning last night. And one of the questions I was asking our student representative, who was there before the meeting began, was, did you see this? And I had to kind of prompt her a little bit, and then her eyes lit up, right? So at least to that student, there was evidence of that greeting at the door. The second one that we started for second quarter, and we've got one we're going to kick off each quarter, but the one for second quarter is just about movement, right? Elementary teachers are great at embedding movement into the day, and certainly the phys ed teachers do it, right? But if you're in English class or science class, what are we doing, especially during those longer periods, to give students that small movement break? So we've asked teachers to try different things, and then often during our PLCs, we'll share ideas about what did you try, what worked, what didn't, those kinds of things. Freshman year science has a unit on energy and momentum. And the lower left picture is the winners of year's Punkin Chunkin, where they build catapults to launch little pumpkins in the gym. So those were the successful group there. And then on the right-hand side, we see some of our culinary students serving Thanksgiving dinner at the center school. If you could click. So culture, right? A big thing. You heard some great examples from this for the center school. We put a lot of emphasis on this as well. One of the other things that we do with connections, and we target connections a lot because it doesn't impact academic instructional time. It's time set aside for other things. So if we want to do something, we do it then, so we don't cancel classes or pull students out of classes. Well, one of the things that we tried this year was enrichment opportunities. We offered it up. 4 teachers volunteered to provide different kinds of activities just to do something different and fun during connections. For example, pickleball, right? A lot of our students like the idea, but really don't have a chance to. Well, they got a chance to go out to the pickleball court here and do that during the day. So that is something that we're already starting to plan our next round of enrichment activities for connections. And then we're really trying to do a really good job of highlighting the life at Bolton High School. I hope you're subscribed to our social media at Bolton High CT on all of our platforms. We don't send everything out all the time, every day, but when there's something meaningful that we think there's something really important happening, maybe something different to draw not your attention, but the attention of the public to it, we're trying to highlight that. And I know you're looking at that picture and wondering what that is. It's a bunch of students standing at the camera awkwardly. But when you know what it is, it's a really impressive picture. That picture was taken at, I believe, 10 minutes after 7 in the morning. That's the Spanish Club. And look at how many students are in the Spanish Club. So a group of students who want to continue the Spanish Club that's been around for a lot of years. They do a lot of culture stuff. You'll see snacks in the foreground, right? But the availability of students after school with everything else going on is tough, but they're so committed that club takes place before school. And I think that's a really great example of our positive school culture. Monthly recognition of staff and student achievements. We have, I know it's not necessarily typical for a high school, but we have a student staff of the month. We stopped putting the pictures on the TVs because the students asked me to. But it is interesting. There's certain things that hit the TV that kids don't pay any attention to at all. Usually it's the stuff I want them to see, right? About like being on time and those kinds of things. But when certain things pop up, like the students and the staff of the month, they pause in the hallway. They do. So that has been a huge thing that we brought back. And then again, the communicating of all the different activities and expectations to the stakeholders, right? So the digital software that we have, especially Student Square, not only is for the interesting scheduling event type stuff, but also the information they need to be successful. For example, if you pull out Grace's phone right now, the very first post on her Student Square right now, I guarantee it, because I pinned it so it had to stay there, is the schedule for next week for midterms. Right? So let's take away the obstacle of, oh my gosh, where am I supposed to be? Let's make it really easy for people using those kinds of platforms. The lower left-hand corner was Powder Puff football as part of our homecoming. That's a nice tradition that we've had for a long time. We do have a dance, but typically before the dance, the Friday night before the dance, the football, and I think it wasn't just powder puff, it was flag, boys and girls, juniors versus seniors. I think they alternated quarters back and forth. I don't remember who won. Upperclassmen won, okay. And speaking of upperclassmen winning, pep rally. So we'll talk a pep rally in a few times a year. Again, we have the ability in our flexible schedule and the way to communicate to students about what a schedule will be. That was a pep rally a couple of weeks ago. That was a tug of war. Instructional practices, cultivate that professional learning. The ongoing NTSS tier 1. So I know that Ms. Goldsteiner talked about 3 tiers briefly at NTSS, and I know we presented on this in the past. But tier 1 is what happens every day in the classroom. And we put a real concerted effort in this year to have conversations with all the faculty during our different meeting times to talk about what does it look like for tier 1. We even took advantage of our special education teachers who have like a different lens on strategies, and they put together some strategies to share with the regular ed teachers. That was a really interesting kind of a cross group kind of a sharing of different, kind of coming from different worlds. For tier 1, the stuff that should be taking place every day in classrooms. And that is ongoing. We have all sorts of different stuff happening there, and observations and reflecting on it. So we do peer observations several times a year. We've been doing it for many, many years. Even our new teachers, where that can be kind of intimidating. You've been here for maybe a month or so, and now there's a stranger in your room. The faculty here has done such a great job developing a positive culture around peer visits that it's always a welcome type thing. So you can see, and actually, as it turns out, that is our new teacher this year. That's our calculus teacher, Mrs. Goldsteiner. And then you can see in the foreground, Mrs. Bradley, a fellow math teacher, had stopped by. Every time we do an observation, there's a focus, like what are we looking for, what are we talking about? And then an opportunity, a structured opportunity afterwards to debrief on that. Another topic we did this year was collaboration. We talked during PLCs about different collaboration strategies that can be used in classrooms, and then folks paired up and observed each other and tried different collaboration strategies. So maybe I went to Beth's classroom and I saw what she was doing, and then I tried something similar and she came and observed that. So the peer observations. And then the NTSS, we are small. We are able to leverage our flexible schedule. One of the things that we have done is if you take a student who needs some help, perhaps again in that executive functioning, we're not pulling them out of study hall 5 days a week, right? We do it as needed. Maybe it's once, maybe it's twice, maybe it's 3 times. But that also then allows that teacher to meet different students on different days. It allows us to take the few folks that we have to do this kind of work and spread them out over the day. And that has given us the ability with that new model to be able to provide intervention to students every single period of the day as needed, which has been a real strength. Relevance. So that's hard sometimes. Like the old, why am I doing this? Right. And some teachers are really good at answering that question. And sometimes that's kind of off-putting depending on how it's asked. We here have engaged in ongoing conversation as teachers about relevance and putting it in multiple buckets. Maybe relevance is it's relevant to today is relevant to what you need to learn tomorrow. That is relevance. Maybe it's towards a future class or maybe a college class, right? You need to learn this so you can learn that, but also, and sometimes this is the trickiest part, relevant to outside of school life, relative to not being a student. So Ms. Kelleher talked about the visit from Mr. Jones and his child development class to the center school yesterday. And that's what you see on the right-hand side. So that's not just fun. I think it was fun for the center school staff. And it was fun for our high school students too, but that's relevance in action. So they're studying child development, benchmarks for kids, and they have their focus, and then they head off and they observe actual students. And we were able to do all of that at no cost to anybody. We have some generous teachers who will use the school van. They've gotten their special license, and they'll give up their prep to drive other teachers and students around the district or surrounding areas to do those kinds of activities, especially when those can provide a real world or really a solid relevance experience. And, okay, full transparency, that's a total stage picture in the lower left-hand corner, because I don't usually bring a camera to my weekly PLC meetings. And there was somebody who was having a bad hair day, and you see they jumped up and ran away. You can see the empty chair in the background. So we meet weekly up to 80 minutes. We have 3 groups. They're interdisciplinary. It's kind of the way the master schedule kind of came together. And we have different topics each week. And sometimes it's about those observations. What are we going to look at? And let's come back next week and talk about it. But our schedule and the support of the faculty enables us to have meaningful, typically an hour-long PLC every week. And that kind of keeps the ball rolling on all of the instruction practices. Thanks.
Does anybody have any questions about any of these?
I do, if you don't mind.
Please.
So I'm the new guy here. And so when I see action steps, I think we're trying to mitigate to meet that goal. Is that how you're using it in the context, or how are you using action steps?
To hold ourselves accountable, right? If we're going to say that we're going to work on instructional practices, we're going to get better at that. How are we going to do that? What are we going to try? What are we going to reflect on? Those are our action steps.
Gotcha.
That's a great question. And the work for the school plan starts in early summer. So when school gets out, we then have a series of summer workshops per se with the academic leaders, myself and Mrs. Kelleher. And we look at SBAC data, we look at student, staff, and parent surveys. So all of that data helps us to determine what our goals and focuses will be. And then the action steps are kind of lasered in based on what the data tells us from those different types of questions and data.
So for example, one of the questions on the survey was, my child understands the importance of homework, or something similar to that. And listen, our survey, I hope you've seen the survey data. It really is it's very impressive. I mean, it is, right? We're very proud of it. But that might have been one that was just a tiny bit lower than others. And that's why you see us talking specifically about relevance and defining it and making sure that we're focusing. So just as an example of the data from the survey, kind of the rubber hitting the road in terms of an action step. Go ahead.
Nope, thank you.
Nope.
Someone else?
Yeah, quick one.
Sure.
I had a question about the peer observations, but Mr. McKelly, you largely answered that for me, and I think they're a really great idea. I do think that obviously it's probably beneficial for the observer as well as the teacher, because the observer can pick up tips and tricks and the teacher, can get help with if there's classroom management issues or reaching a certain student or whatever the case may be. So thank you for that. My question, very simply, you guys are going to do the Winterfest, I heard. Are you also going to do the art showcase?
Yes.
Awesome.
With ice cream.
Yeah.
Music to my ears.
Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, on to our student representative reports.
So our winter sports are in full swing. Athletes have been working hard with girls basketball's record from 3-3, boys basketball 0-4. Our cooperative boys hockey team is 2-3. And indoor track and field had their first meet last weekend, and some of the track athletes will be competing at Yale this weekend, such as Alexa. Midterms begin next week. Students have been studying hard to prepare for these tests. National Honor Society hosted the annual Cookies and Cream event during Connections today in order to help prepare the ninth graders for their first ever midterm exams. And Drama Club has begun rehearsing for SpongeBob the Musical that will be performed February 26th, 27th, and 28th. There are more than 50 students involved in the show, and the whole cast is having an amazing time learning and practicing.
BHS Modern Band held their biannual coffee house before break. If you missed it, check it out on our BHS YouTube channel. This was a huge success. Many wonderful performances were put on, and both audience members and students were very happy with their performances. 32 students performed that evening. Our pep rally was a huge success with games of tug of war, dodgeball, and teachers versus student basketball. Students and teachers had a lot of fun, and it was the perfect way to kick off our winter break. With the pep rally as the culminating event, the junior class won the battle of the classes despite the seniors making a huge comeback at the pep rally. The tiebreaker was a head-to-head game of dodgeball that crowned the juniors as victorious.
All right, thank you very much. I know homework is back in full swing, and if you are so inclined, you can excuse yourselves, and if you're so inclined, you feel free to stay.
My God.
Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any additions tonight, so we are on to routine business. And the approval of minutes. Could we have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the December 8th, 2025 Board of Ed workshop?
So moved.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or edits on these minutes? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstaining? Now, could we have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 11th, 2025 Board of Education regular business meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Ben. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments, or edits on these minutes? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? On to Board of Ed committee reports and finance.
Yep, so from a finance standpoint, we did not meet yesterday.
They say is this your last recording of this?
I was traveling and I actually missed the meeting, so it was my fault. But apparently there's not a whole lot to really report on. Looking at the budget, we are 39% expended, which is consistent with the prior year. And I understand there's not any transfer.
No transfer. Correct.
Anything else, I guess, notable to report out from the finance center?
No, Casal, did you have anything? Thank you.
The curriculum committee was also unable to meet, but they were going to have to get a date together prior to our February meeting because we are looking for a new economic textbook to do a first read on in February, and that committee, spoiler alert for talking about it momentarily, but Ashley Pajoli and Jennifer Stahl were the people who I think are going to be taking over curriculum. So they will be, I guess we'll have to arrange a new meeting time that works for people are, but that's usually with Monica. So she'll reach out, but. All right, community meeting reports. Does anyone, we have a PTA stuff to say? I'm sure we do.
Fighting for you with the last person arriving lately. So no, like crazy events because, well, I guess we do. Big one, we haven't met for the month of January yet. That's next week. The biggest thing is that came through, if you haven't followed us on socials, is that the bonding came through with Playground. And not like bonding, like, oh, we're gonna have to pay it back. It's more like grant, like, here's money. I don't like the term bonding for it, but that will be, because it's not like a long-term, like 40-year loan. So in case anybody's got questions on that, it's an actual like grant. It's fully funded from the state. We do have some extra donations too that are still coming in that will go towards it as well. Because there will be some, upkeep and maintenance on it. So we are super excited about that. So I'm sure they're going to start planning all of that. Other things coming up is our Someone Special Dance on February 6th. I know Mr. Davies brought up the art show and stuff that's getting into the mix. I think it's becoming more of like a spring festival at this point, because there's a whole bunch of other activities between the ice cream social, the art festival, and I think there's something else thrown in there now, and I can't quite remember. Those I think are the big stuff, and I'm sure by February I'll have more for you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other community meetings to report on? You've been involved in that category much. But, all right. Now I'll turn things over to the superintendent for tonight's superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. So I first want to start with my student chats. I've been doing those with seniors. I have my last group, I think, next week or the week after. And I'm happy to say I coordinated with Principal Giard today to start student chats with 8th graders tomorrow. So looking forward to getting down to the middle school students and meeting with them, hearing their perspective, their thoughts on how we can improve our schools and what's going really well for them and how we can best support them. So I'm looking forward to that. We kicked off our strategic plan meeting last night. I referenced that earlier. I came away feeling extremely inspired and fortunate to be in Bolton. We started off by talking about why people came to Bolton, why Bolton schools, what our role is in Bolton, and the information that was shared with the group was just was really, like I said, it was really inspiring. It was really awesome to hear how much love there is for this town and the reasons why. And a lot of it was around the community feel, people really caring about each other, caring about the kids in school, and having previous positive school experiences themselves, having grown up in Bolton and now raising their family in Bolton. So that was really great. We're off to an awesome start. We started talking a little bit about what we wanted the school experience to be like for kids, what we wanted the work environment to be like for staff. Some of those were overlapped a little bit. And so that was really neat. We talked a little bit about educating the whole child, making sure that our students leave our school system with skills. Obviously, we want them to have content, but real world skills, communication, problem solving, being able to work with other people, and those types of skills we talk about a lot. So I think we have had a really good first night. You can chime in if you want, people that were there. I thought it was a great first kickoff to our process, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next steps are going to be. But I'm excited about what that plan is going to end up being. I think it's going to be a better version, an improved version of what we currently have. I think we're going to use what we have as a nice foundation. And you heard the work that's going on in our district right now as it aligns to the plan, and looking forward to the new one. So that was great. I attended my first legislative breakfast this morning as a superintendent. A lot of area superintendents went to Coventry High School. Ms. Goldsnyder and myself attended. We had a few legislators there and just kind of listening to what some of the concerns were. A lot of the superintendents, well, all the superintendents there represented smaller districts. And so we have sometimes some unique concerns and needs in smaller districts than larger districts do. So it was nice that they take time out of their day to hear our concerns that they can bring back to the legislative session that I think is going to be happening next week. A lot of it obviously is around budget and money that we get from the state. One person said very appropriately today that, you know, there's a discrepancy with funds that large school districts get in small districts, but the cost of a roof for one building in a big district is the same cost as a roof for a building in a small district. So having conversations about that, having conversations on how the state can offset the impact that special education costs have on districts also was a big topic for discussion. That was followed up this afternoon by my IRSA NASA meeting, which is areas superintendents of small districts. The budget process dominated those conversations. Some of them, they asked to put in the chat what people are coming in at with their budgets, as some are starting to finalize their proposals right now. Just to fire off a few local districts: 8.9%, 5.9%, 7%, and 11%. They're coming in pretty high. And the major driver for these are special ed costs and the costs of contractual obligations. Most of the increases right now are just the fixed costs that we incur year after year. And I know we're experiencing some of that right now as we work through ours. But just want to give you an idea of what's happening around Bolton. I had a
Too stationary right now. We need a movement.
Yeah.
Classrooms.
Another exciting thing I want to bring your attention to, I had a conversation with Mr. Humison over break and Mr. Maselli about our gym and trying to improve the atmosphere for kids when they come in the gymnasium and organizing a student section, having some signage up there, and also refreshing our gym lobby when people come in. Maybe getting some pictures of our student athletes up there and liven it up a little bit and showcase our kids. So I think that'll be a neat update to the gymnasium. That's it.
Is there any questions?
Any big themes coming out of the student chats?
I think I mentioned this before. One common theme is they all have said that they love the fact that Bolton High School is small. They rave about the small class sizes. They rave about the connections that they make with teachers. They often talk about connections they make with teachers K-12. And I know I've just met with the high school students, but they often have mentioned teachers or adults at the K-8 school too. And that's something that was mentioned last night at our strategic planning meeting is, you know, how kids are supported in this district from K-12 and beyond. One of the persons in my group last night talked about how even after graduation from high school, they maintain contact and support from staff members in Bolton, which was kind of cool. So that was one of the themes. Another big theme was with the high school kids, they all rave about the improved lunch. They all say that the lunch in the cafeteria is much improved from last year. They love that. That's been a big hit. Even though I had nothing to do with it, I took credit for it with them. But yeah, they love that. So those are a couple of themes that came out of it.
Those budget numbers that you're referencing, do we have any indication about how our insurance increase is gonna be this year? Have they fear-mongered some obnoxious numbers like they did last year, or do we not know?
The last update we got was they said budget between, I think, 15 and 16%. So we're sitting at 17% to try to be safe. Which is
It's
high.
like that every year.
But some districts are reporting 40 and 50% increases.
All right, is there any other questions? Moving on to unfinished business and the wellness policy that we have now had a month to digest and analyze. Yes, we are looking for a motion to approve policy 5140 wellness. Anyone interested in making such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ben. Does anyone want a second?
A second.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments or suggestions or issues? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Is there opposed or abstaining? Okay, now new business, resignations.
We have one resignation. Noah Fajila, a BCS paraeducator, has left us. So we wish him best of luck in his future endeavors.
And the cafeteria Feed It Forward donation.
Yes, we had two donations to help offset some of the cost incurred from student unpaid lunches.
Sounds great.
Really nice.
We'll do this as future, I guess really so we're gonna send out an email with the committee assignments. But the futureness of this business is communications committee. We do not currently have one. I think everyone here is likely thinking that this is a good idea. And we were gonna, did we ever figure out if there was any formality? I don't think that there's formality to committee formation. So I guess if we're all in favor of that, then we should have a communication committee, and I don't know, I know several people had indicated interest. So that's the only one that's really up in the air except for policy. Policy only, Jen Stahl had said if needed, I believe. Yeah, so, Chris Davey was, as an editor, a natural fit for this role, and we don't enjoy having him anymore, so, I guess the policy, so we have for finance, and I have submitted your names to the town clerk, and she'll be emailing you if she hasn't done so already. Ben Davies and Danae Johnson for finance, and that will entail the monthly meeting with internal, and then the finance committee meetings, which I believe there's one maybe next week. Regarding CAPA, CAPA is the capital asset planning and allocation, which is, the charter requires that, 1 mil be spent on our infrastructure. Sometimes it's more, but, that responsibility with the charter change 2 years ago is now the finance committee's, purview. So, we generate a list typically as a board of ed, and then the town does, and then the finance committee. We used to have a CAPA committee that was some of us, similarly to the finance committee, some of the selectmen and some of townsfolk. But now that's just part of the finance committee. So I believe that meeting is coming up. Buildings and ground.
I believe CAP is next Tuesday. I believe CAP is next Tuesday.
Okay. The Buildings and Grounds Committee was sort of overlapping with CAPA prior to this change, so since the change, we have not met maybe as often as we should, considering the variety of issues that we've dealt with. But we have been, and myself for that, we are open to another person. Although we have meetings scheduled as needed, so we have to come up with kind of a new meeting and deal with John Butcherovich and see if, maybe it's still as needed, or maybe it's a quarterly or something, but we have not been meeting much, and I think we should meet more. Personnel, we have myself, Ashley Phelan, and Dr. Perkins. That's also scheduled as needed, and we have teacher negotiations coming up next fall. Maybe a meeting this spring to discuss a couple of things, but curriculum, I already mentioned, we have Ashley Pajoli staying on as curriculum and Jennifer Stahl stepping up. And then policy is the only question. Does anyone else have any interest in being on our policy committee? It's scheduled as needed also. Historically speaking, I would say that sometimes we've have a number of policies, but we redid many of our series a couple of years ago. Sometimes over the summer, there'll be like a list. But are you willing to serve still on policy?
We can help.
Volunteer too.
Okay, so we'll likely take your volunteers. Unless you hear from anybody else about that. Communication, I believe we had several potential people, so I think Dr. Perkins, Jones, maybe was someone else say communication. I don't remember. I know finance is big, so I don't want to ask anybody else. But maybe Ashley could put that down. Is that the other person?
Possibly.
Yeah, she's
Communication.
not here. Tell her she.
Why don't we, I'll send an email about communication specifically, but I think that she had said that she was interested in being on there. And then transportation, we have again, Dr. Perkins, Ashley, the two Ashleys actually, for transportation, which will be, contract is out to bid, so we have to have a meeting or two. But, I don't know how involved that'll be, and we'll have to communicate.
Yeah.
Once you have something to discuss.
Yep.
But, then we will not have much in the way of meetings for several bunch of years. And then we had a couple other representatives. Historically, one was the PTA, although we have very good PTA representation now. So I don't think we have to have somebody who necessarily attends the meetings and reflects, although also Ashley Pajoli was a former board member, and also I know someone who's a very good board member also. And I think we have enough awareness to report out in your absence, so I don't think we need to have a specific PTA. We did have a crack rep also. Historically speaking, again, nobody has done that in the last couple of years. I volunteered to do that last spring, but it was never connected with when the meetings are. I think they were like the first Wednesdays of the month or something. It was like during the day, so it was hard for anyone to make it there. I don't know if we can get to the bottom of whether or not it's appropriate for us to even have a crack rep. It was kind of like you went to a monthly meeting and you kind of had an idea of what was going on in the magnet schools, but like some of their long-term visioning, but we do have kids from town that do go to these schools, so maybe it's a good idea, but I don't remember that much useful coming out of the meetings that like it was anything that business that fell to us, for instance, was more just an awareness. And then the other rep that we had was for the scholarship fund. And I had said that I wasn't even sure that we had a formal rep. Today I had volunteered to do that and was wondering if it was appropriate because you have kids that might fall in that. But so as far as I was concerned, Chris Davy had been our scholarship. If we did have a rep, he would report out on what was going on at scholarship meetings. Mostly just to say we met and we've gotten our applications, or we're reviewing the applications, or that kind of thing. I know the scholarship fund is always looking for help.
Yeah, and Trish didn't seem concerned about it. She's like.
Oh, yeah, and I think Chris, just when it came time for, his own child to apply for scholarships, he just wasn't in the decision-making parts of the meeting, so, we'd be happy to have you do that. I'm sure they would be happy to have anybody. So I think just with communication, but did we want to decide? Hey, everybody's in favor of having communication,
Yes.
right?
Right.
I think it's important. I think that, I know the board hasn't, our outreach to the town, especially when it comes to budget seasons and like what's going on in the schools, and just to sort of let everybody know about all the good things that are going on. Like you said, maybe everybody's not on our social media. We do have like the videos that come out are great. Like the social media posts are great also. So it's just nice to build the sense of let the community know all the good things that are happening. So as far as the membership, are we gonna say
Dr. Perkins and Ashley and
all?
Jen, you as well?
Okay, I know that you had said, but if you don't want to, feel free, and we can always, these are not set in stone. They don't have to be there, so. And then you said policy, yes? Thank you. Okay, so we'll send out that email and I think we're all set there. And, do we have any other future business? Alrighty, looking for motion to adjourn.
Second.
Questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Oh.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Start using this.
Oh, there we go.
Now, one time, it like fell apart like several years ago.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you.